Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Victoria, and we're doing this short interview with the CEO of Migration Resource Center, with Frederik, who is going to give us a little bit of information about what do we need to know if we're applying to become a United States citizen, and in particular when we go for our citizenship interview. What type of questions do you expect? What type of answer is good to provide? What type of information is good to know? How basically to get ready for our citizenship interview and test. Frederik, welcome. Tell us a little bit about MRC first, and then we'll go into details about the citizenship interview and civic test.
Thank you, Victoria, and thanks for giving me this opportunity to talk about MRC and what we do. Shortly, we do practice immigration law and tax law at this moment. We do have a large of clients in Staten Island and around the country. Basically also we handle the naturalization or citizenship, as many people know, to help them to become a U.S. Citizen.
Thank you. So I am an immigrant myself to the United States, and one day I'm planning to become a U.S. citizen. I know that I have to fill a form. I think form 400, or correct me, what's the correct number for the form. I have to fill that form, submit some additional documents, and then I have to wait an invitation for an interview. How do I prepare for that interview? What do I have to expect? What they're going to ask me during the interview? And basically, how should I prepare? What would you advise me to do?
A very interesting question, and many people have dilemma about the citizenship interview, and there is unknown, if I can say that, when you go there, and many people are nervous and anxious about the citizenship interview. There is two parts of citizenship interview, and this is the biggest part in entire naturalization application. Besides of the preparation of the applications, the interview it's the biggest and the most important part. And the interview basically has been in two parts. When you go to the immigration officer, there is a part you have to pass the test in English, in writing and reading, and the other part is your interview with an immigration officer. So basically, the interview is done in, if I can say with minutes, is pretty much a 35 to 45 minutes interview, where the officer will start with the part of the application. You have to answer all the questions that pretty much are in the application. And after that, you start the second part of it, which is the test, the civic test. There are 10 questions. You have to take 6 out of it, and then you have to pass the English and reading test, which basically they give you 2 sentences to read and 2 sentences to write. And if you pass that, the officer will give you the passing letter, and you can wait for your oath ceremony from the USCIS.
Okay, let's take it one by one. Give me some examples of the questions that they might ask you, because I understand the first part is the interview, where the officers, they might ask you questions and you got to answer them, and then the second part will be the test. So for the first part, for the interview, what type of questions do they ask? How do I prepare for that part?
The part of for that part, the questions are mostly on background check for you as an applicant. The USCIS has the right to go and look for your background to see that you deserve to become a U.S. citizen. The common search they do is about if you have committed any inadmissibility in the past. Many people, they don't declare their spouses or children. They have committed certain fraud, and the immigration wants to know that. And if they find out that the applicant has committed a fraud or inadmissibility, they will put that person in removal proceedings if the kind of fraud elevates to the stage of the removability. And it's very important for many people to understand that going to citizenship, and if you have done something 20 or 30 or even 50 years ago, it doesn't mean that has been erased or disappeared. Immigration have a very good records. They will find out if you have committed any fraud or inadmissibility. And the other part is the criminal background. They do check people who have certain criminal activities in the past, and if they have raised to the level of the removability, they will put you in removal proceedings. So it's very important to consult with an immigration lawyer before you can apply for naturalization. If you see that you have something in the past, it's very important. It's not recommended you just apply and send the application. But if you know that you have something, you have to consult before you start the naturalization process.
Mm-hmm. Will they ask about important dates? Do we have to know important dates in our life? When we married, birthdays of our parents, birthdays of our children, or they don't really pay attention to dates? Do we have to be very precise, or do we need to know like the year and the month, or do we need to know the date, the month, and the year when it comes to specific dates? What would you say?
Immigration, I would say immigration expect you to know the specific dates. If you're being asked for your date of birth, you have to know where you were born. And if they ask for your current wife information, you must know the current wife's information, date of birth, place of birth, when you married, and definitely the children, if you are your children. So they expect you to know exactly those dates and dates where you came in the country. So they are expecting from the applicant to know, including their social security number. So yes, I would say the applicant should be prepared to know and say the exact dates that are written in his or her application.
Do we have to bring documents with us? Do you have to bring like a file with a lot of documents? Do we have to bring all documents that we have in the household, or specific documents? How do we prepare that file, if we have to prepare a file?
It is important part of it to prepare and the documents that you should have with you. Basically, when you submit an application, you can submit with the basic documents, which is a copy of your permanent residency card, your passport, any divorce or marriage. But when you go for interview, you must have more than that to show your good moral character. And also, you should have the original documents, such as your birth certificate, your passport, your permanent residency card, your marriage or divorce, your children's birth certificates. And if you claim the citizenship within 3 years because you married with a U.S. citizen, it's one step further. So they're asking more in-depth documents, such as your taxes in the past 3 years, your bank statements, your insurances, your utility bills. So they have to show that you lived together in order to claim the citizenship within 3 years instead of 5 years. So I would say, yes, it is important part to be prepared and have the documents, have a folder with you, and you appear at the immigration officer. You should have all this documents. And another tip that I can say here is that you don't need to have all these documents and showing at the immigration officer desk and okay, here's my documents. You have to wait if you are asked for that particular document that you can show to the officer. So it's a lot of nitty gritty here, how you can present yourself, how you can be polite, and how you can submit the documents to the officer if you are asked for it. Even though you might have the documents, and if you are not asked to show, that you don't need to show.
I see. Okay. Just like to clarify, we're talking about what happens during the interview and how to prepare for your interview. Now, if to back up a little bit and to say, because I mentioned the form and I would like you to clarify, what form do we have to prepare first to submit to the immigration authorities in order to have the invitation for the interview, and how much, if there is any fee attached to that form, and how much is that fee?
The form that people should use for naturalization, it's called N400, is a form that you can find to uscis.gov, and you can download it and you can complete the form. And you have to pay the filing fee that is imposed by the USCIS. The filing fee at this moment is $725, and this should be payable to Department of Homeland Security. You can submit this application by mail with your 2 passport photos, or if you have a choice to submit that online at uscis.gov. However, you have to create an account, and you should submit all those documents electronically by downloading one by one at your account.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about the test. So I understand that there's going to be the interview part. You questions, answer, present your documents if you asked to, know your dates very well, know the dates when you came to the country, when you got married, if you got married, children, spouses, maybe extended relatives. Do they ask questions about your in-laws or brothers, sisters, or that's on the secondary level?
If they don't have the reason to ask for your siblings, they actually won't ask. What are the more interesting and what is in the application is about your immediate family, so spouse and children. So they are not going to go beyond of that, beyond the application questionnaire. So I don't think the government has a reason to ask you at the citizenship about your siblings or any other. In regards of the parents, yes, there is a question there. And the reason they're asking is more to know if your parents are US citizens, so you might qualify to derive the citizenship through one of the parents. That is the reason that the questions are there for the parents. But if you answer no, these questions, they have no right. I mean, I'm not saying no right, but they don't have the reason to ask for the parents or siblings.
Okay, sounds good. Let's go to the test part. So if you can describe a little bit how that happens. Is it happening in the same room where you gave your answer to the immigration officer? Do you go to a separate room with other applicants where everybody is taking a writing English test, or that's not happening? How is that happening?
All right, it's very interesting for people to know that when you go to USCIS, you have to go to the waiting room, you check in first, and then they may give you a number. It depends from what field office you are. Here in New York, they just tell you to sit there and give you a little number. So they will call you by the number. When the officer calls you, you have to go and greet the officer. Most of the time, officers engage you in the conversation just to understand how you speak English, how able are you to respond to the question. So might be some of them they may not, but some of them they do engage you just to get an flavor that what language level do you have. So when you go to the room, they'll put you under oath. And after you going under oath, they will tell you to sit, and then you have a little tablet in front of you. Now they are more modernized, and then they're going to ask you questions. Before, the officer did actually choose the questions for you, but now is the system that choose the questions. However, the officer, I should say, the officer has the right to create or ask the system for people who might be, elderly. They're not able to speak very well English or understand better, so they try to give them some sort of easy questions. So the officer has that discretionary in his part. However, the officer doesn't choose the question, so it's the system that chooses that. So you can see them on your tablet, and you can answer there on the tablet. And you have 10 questions. You have to take 6 out in order to pass, and you go into the other test, which is English and writing and reading. So the officer will give you sentence in the tablet you can read, and then 2 sentences to write that you can write on the tablet as well. And if you pass that, the officer will tell you that you pass, and he's gonna he's gonna start the last step of the process. You have to sign certain documents there, sign on your passport photo, and then he will tell you that either you can get a letter for oath ceremony, or you should wait. There are field offices. They do the oath ceremony right on the spot.
Mm-hmm. So the system will choose 10 questions for you to answer, and for
Yes,
you to pass the test, which is the civic test. This is the civic test. You have to answer as an applicant 6 out of 10.
that
Where
is
do
correct.
I learn? How do I prepare for those questions? And what type of questions usually are those? Are they questions about the history of the United States, about the government of the United States? What type of questions are those?
Good question. Yes, immigration has created their website. They have a lot of materials, a very good website in order to get as much as you can in terms of the citizenship preparation. There are civic tests to download from the USCIS website materials, and you can have it in your iPod or your phone, and you can open all the time. There are basically 100 questions, and is more around the U.S. history. So you have to know about the U.S. history, the World War II. You have to know about the most prominent names of the U.S. history, the current president, where you live, how many senators and House of Representatives we have in our Congress, and 3 branches, and on and on. So yes, you have to know the basic stuff about the United States in order to pass this civic test. So there are 100 questions. You should study them, and you should get only 10. And from this 10, you have to take 6 out in order to pass the test.
So you need to study 100 questions,
Yes,
and you might get a random 10 out of the 100 for you to answer, and you got to answer 6 out of those 10 to pass
yes,
the test.
that is
Okay.
that is correct. Yes. And,
So,
and that's you pass the test, and then the last step is to get the oath ceremony. So you have to go. Usually USCIS does this at least before COVID situation. USCIS basically here in New York, they have certain dates every other month to do the oath ceremony. They just gather a large group of people, and one of the federal judges go there and handle the oath ceremony. So now they try to do it right on the spot with small group of people, but hopefully things are gonna come to the normal, and it's very enjoyable to be part of large people, and you have one of the federal judges to come there and discuss about the citizenship and the duties that you have, and the rights that you have. So it's really enjoyable, I would say, to become a U.S. citizen.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that optimistic part and joy part. It is a special moment and a special process to go through, and then to have the oath, the citizenship oath, and officially to become a citizen of United States. I mean, I'm not a citizen, but I've went through that process with another country, and I can imagine the feeling. Well, thank you very much, Frederik, for answering my questions and sharing your wisdom on this topic. I hope this is going to be useful for anybody else who is going to come upon this short video, short interview. Reach out to Migration Resource Center. You can find out more information on the website. Get in touch with Frederik and Migration Resource Center. And is Migration Resource Center organizing this type of informative session or not really? If people want to find out more about this topic or any other topic, the Migration Resource Center is able to provide information. Do you guys do anything like that?
Yes, we do. In fact, we have the workshops that we're doing now online. Before COVID, we actually were more physically, but now we do this workshops. They can find us in our website. It's migrationusa.org. We have a page for workshops that we actually do throughout the year. They can reach our team, the legal team, if you have, or they have immigration questions or legal questions, so they can make an appointment either in person, video call, or phone. But in terms of the civic test preparation and giving more information and to educate people before the interview, there are in our website on the Learning Center pages where they can schedule their own time or follow one of our workshops that we have basically every month.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, that sounds good. Sounds that there is information for anybody who wants to access it, either in join an informative session when those are happening, or get in touch with the legal team if you have a specific case, or you would like to become a United States citizen and are curious how you can proceed and achieve that goal. Thank you, Frederik, once again.
Thank you.
This will be all for today. And if we have, or if I have more questions, I'll call you again and we'll do this type of interview more often. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.